All right, so welcome everyone. This is the mock interview series. Okay, so each video will have one interview question and followed by a couple of counter questions. Okay, and I will answer each of the questions in two formats. First will be the direct interview question, and second will be the detailed and explanatory answer. Okay, so make sure you subscribe this channel so that you can keep getting the following interview questions. So let's get started. Okay, so the SOC is basically it's full form as Security Operations Center. It's a dedicated facility to monitor and perform the incident response of threats, live threats. Okay, so they are treated as the first line of defense for any organization. Now, in simple word, I mean there are three major components when we talk about the SOC. We have people, process, and technology, or maybe the tools. So when it comes to people, then there are majorly three kind of team, which is SOC Tier 1, SOC Tier 2, and SOC Tier 3. When we talk about SOC Tier 1, they are responsible for the primary diagnosis. They look at the alerts. They perform they keep their eye on the dashboard, proactively monitoring every alerts on tools like SIMS, which is Security Incident and Event Management tool. They perform the initial triage and they do the primary diagnosis. The idea is to remove any false positive and focus on what is really relevant. Next comes is the SOC Tier 2. Now, SOC Tier 2 they are the next level of escalation. They perform the incident response. They follow the incident response process where their job is to minimize the overall damage by removing the malware or the threat from the network. Okay, and they can also do the malware analysis, digital forensic, and everything related to that. Then we have SOC Tier 3, who they are very advanced. Most of the environment, they basically involved in the proactive threat hunting. Okay, so they work on proactive basis. They assume that the network is already compromised. Okay, that's their mindset. And when we talk about the technologies, the heart of Security Operations Center is SIM solution. It could be Splunk, it could be IBM QRadar, it could be Logarithm, anything. But they are very popular. They collect the logs, and then only you can visualize or you can create the rules related to that. And then there are other tools as well, including EDR solutions. So this is basically SOC, and the purpose is basically to monitor all these security events, alerts, and then minimize the overall impact onto the network and improving the security posture of the network.
All right, so this is going to be a detailed answer to what I just said, and let's understand SOC here. Okay, so SOC and some of the important responsibilities of SOC. The first thing is monitoring and detection. Okay, so monitoring, as I said earlier, SOC Tier 1 is responsible for monitoring. SOC Tier 1, this team is basically responsible for monitoring the alerts, looking at all the alerts and removing the false positive and focusing on what is really relevant. So they might be monitoring the network traffic, firewall traffic, maybe any kind of traffic, server related traffic. So they might get an alert saying, okay, it's a brute force attack. Okay, and then then their job would be to identify whether it's really a relevant alerts. So if yes, then they might do a primary diagnosis by looking at the IP address system or sending an email to the client that if he is the one who is trying to access the system or somebody else, if he's not there, then it might be a serious concern. So initially they can send an email and talk to them and understand, but later on, if it is really urgent, they can also call them up. Okay, so it depends. Now this is what it happened. They also look at the anomalies and everything. If it's a serious issues, then if it's a really serious or priority alerts, then they might transfer it to the Tier 2, whose job would be to perform the incident response. Okay, so here we are. So incident response is the next activity which is done by the SOC Tier 2 team. Now, incident response has got multiple, process steps. I would say 4 to 6 process, depending on what framework you're choosing. If you're going for a NIST framework, they have a different steps that start with the preparation to detection to contamination to eradication and then learning process. We also have one more framework which is from SANS. You might have heard about their certifications are really popular. So these are the two popular framework available for incident response, and based on that the organization decide what to do. And in the incident response itself, all the important activities are really important. The incident response analysts basically do the digital forensics to understand what is the overall scope of the impact, and then based on that they take an action. For example, let's say you got a malware into a machine, you got a ransomware, right? So now when it is transferred to the SOC tier 2 team, their job would be to understand how many, if this system has been impacted, is there any other system which is also impacted? If yes, then what is the overall impact? And based on that, it will perform the incident response, maybe to disconnect the network, maybe to isolate the machine from the network, and then format the machine, or maybe remove the malware. In most of the cases, we actually format the machine and then we onboard the machine later on. Next activity is the threat intelligence. You see, threat intelligence is all about gathering threat intel information. Now, what is threat intelligence? It could be in the form of tactical information like IP address, blacklisted IP address, domain, DNS information, or maybe hash of any files, malware sample, all these things. Okay, one of the popular website which is being used by a lot of threat intelligence team or incident response team is called VirusTotal. Okay, this is very, very popular tool which is being used. And threat intelligence could be in the form of operational, wherein or it could be in the high level intelligence as well, strategic intelligence as well, where you focus on your industry. Okay, so let's say there's a specific APT, maybe APT 27 maybe. So if you know the APT 27 is, I'm just taking an example that APT 27 is only focusing on financial services. So you prepare yourself accordingly. In case you are falling under your financial services industry. One more example could be, let's say you are the CISO of ABC Bank now, and your bank is based in, maybe Asia Pacific region. So there's a malware which is targeting all the banks in the Asia Pacific itself. So you need to get some threat intelligence about it, right? So this can't be a tactical level threat intelligence which just talked about the DNS, which actually just talked about the DNS, domain, blacklisted IP address. You need some more clarity. That's where some different organizations come into the picture which share the threat intelligence. So they are the threat intelligence sharing body called ISAC. Okay, so for every industry there is an ISAC, FS ISAC, there's automobile ISAC, there's a banking, FS is basically financial service ISAC, there's a transportation ISAC, there's a OT based ISAC as well. Okay, now let's talk about the next activity, which is the vulnerability management. Now, this is very important because this is where it's a continuous process where the SOC team, it's not directly a part of SOC, but it sits somewhere in the SOC, which take care of the vulnerability management or security analyst job, where you run vulnerability scanners by tools like Qualys, okay, or maybe Nessus. Now it is called Tenable, by the way, and maybe Rapid7 tool as well, and then you get the vulnerability, and then you prioritize the vulnerability. You give a score to every vulnerability, and you try to get their CVE number, and then you identify what is the priority of it. Is there any exploit available? You can visit exploit DB to understand if the exploit is available or not, and then accordingly you start working on it. Okay, next is the security compliance. Now, this is very, very important. Even SOC is also part of security compliance. Okay, the security compliance is it can be a regulatory compliance as well. So that's the standard to maintain a legal and ethical standard itself. So it ensures that you are aligned with the industry specification. So let's say if you are in the industry, where you accept credit card, you process credit card information or store credit card information, so you have to have PCI DSS compliant. Okay, otherwise you can't really accept the credit cards or any payment card. If you are in United States, your company is something to do with the healthcare or healthcare related processing, maybe a medical device, medical services, anything, you have to be compliant by HIPAA. Okay, in case you are in Europe, then or you are doing a business in Europe, you have to be compliant by GDPR. Okay, there are many other as well. We also have ISO 27001, which is not a security compliance, it's a framework. There's a NIST, which is again a framework as well. Okay, next let's talk about the log analysis. Now, this is very important because this is used to identify any abnormal behavior or any to find any kind of indicator of compromise into the network. Let's say something happened in the past, but now I want to know what was really happened. So it's kind of forensic itself, but that's where we use the same kind of a solution to analyze what went wrong. Okay, so let's say we had a web server, and we got to know that our web servers got all the data were compromised. Okay, and now all we got a data breach in a way. So all the information has been, a hacker published all the data on some dark web website. So now we want to know what went wrong on that server, on that database server, so we can take a log of last 30 days, upload it to the same, and can start analyzing it. Okay, so that's a part of log analysis. Finally, let's talk about the forensic and investigation. So as I said, this consists of multiple things. This is usually done by the incident response team, where we have in some organization we also call it as DFIR, which is digital forensic and incident response team. So this is all the responsibility of SOC. I know this is a lot, but trust me, it could be even beyond that. Okay, I haven't covered few more topics, but yes, this is what you will find common with everyone, every organization. Sure, that's a great question. So SOC, that Security Operations Center, focus on cybersecurity. That's deals in monitoring and detecting and responding to threats, cyber threats. Whereas if we talk about NOC is Network Operations Center, where we talk about managing and maintaining the network devices. It could be router, it could be switches. In case of SOC, we talk about resolving security incidents. In case of NOC, we talk about resolving network-related incident. This could be a router which is down, or switch which got down, or maybe certain user or facing slowness into the network, or they are not able to access certain application. So a network engineer working in a NOC take care of resolving that. Whereas in case of SOC, security engineer or SOC analyst basically, or SOC engineer basically take care of resolving security-related incidents. So priority of SOC is to take care of the overall security posture of the network, whereas the priority of NOC is to bring down the the overall downtime in the network. So that's how they are different. Yeah. Okay, so let me give you the detailed answer. Well, when you talk about the SOC versus NOC, you talk about monitoring, right? So what do you monitor in case of SOC? You monitor all the devices in the network, right? You monitor the desktop, laptop, everything. You monitor the desktop into the network. You monitor all the mobile devices. You monitor firewalls, the firewall related alerts, the logs, and everything, right? So, but when we talk about the NOC, you talk about majorly monitoring the switches into the network, switches, router into the network, or maybe firewalls as well, but related to if the firewall is up or down, or reachability related or connectivity related issue. So it is more about connectivity or reachability, reachability related issues, or performance related issues. Okay, performance related issue. Well, whereas in case of SOC, it is all about threats. Okay, if there's any threats, if there's any incidents, security incidents, all those stuff. So this is what we take care of when it comes to SOC. Okay, now when it comes to investigation, in both the cases we do different kind of investigation. As I covered earlier as well, we covered investigation related to, maybe let's say we have a brute force attack. Okay, we have maybe denial of service attack, where a server has been bombarded with a lot of traffic, and there's no there's no way that genuine user gets served. So that is a denial of service attack, or distributed denial of service attack. There could be other kind of threat as well. It could be related to lateral movement, or malware, normal malware, or maybe ransomware related threat as well. Whereas in case of NOC, it is majorly related to, if let's say if some server is not unreachable. Okay, so you may have to troubleshoot that, or maybe there is a latency coming in while accessing a certain website. So user may open up a case with the network engineer to troubleshoot that, or maybe it is related to a flapping issue. Maybe network is flapping. Maybe your WAN link, okay, the link that connects to the internet, or maybe to your service provider. Maybe it's an MPLS service provider, or lease line connection, or anything from the branch office to the internet, or maybe with the private cloud. If that is flapping, you might have to troubleshoot that. Or maybe it's a performance or jitter related issue, which is the problem in case we have a voice related traffic. Now, what kind of tools used in both the environment? The heart of the SOC is SIEM, Security Incident and Event Management Tool. The popular one is Splunk. There are a few more: IBM QRadar, ArcSight, Logarithm. These are popular one. EDR, which is the basically endpoint detection and response tool. The popular one is CrowdStrike Falcon. This is the popular tool for this. And we have SOAR as well, which is security automation. So we can automate quite a lot of activity related to phishing analysis, email phishing analysis, or maybe any kind of other automation where you want to utilize threat intelligence feeds as well. And other tools are like ITSM tool, which is like ticketing tool as well. When it comes to NOC, the most popular tool in the NOC is the NPM tool, Network Performance Monitoring Tool, or it is SNMP server or SNMP server tool, which actually give you the alert of if the device goes down, link is flapping, slowness issue, and everything. Other tools are related to NetFlow. You can troubleshoot issue. You can take the packet capture and everything. TCP dump is very much used in the NOC. Wireshark is also very much popular as well in here. Okay, so this is the difference between SOC and the NOC. So I feel SOC contributes a lot for improving the overall security posture of the network, because with SOC you have a ability to monitor everything happening in the organization from security point of view, and SOC also help you bring down the overall impact into the network. So impact could happen because of data breaches, because of ransomware. If you have an effective SOC team and process and technology as well, this can be helpful in preventing data breaches in the future. And in case of ransomware as well, it help us to avoid some kind of a ransomware attacks as well. So this helps a lot and contributes a lot as well. All right, so let's get into the detailed answer. How does SOC contribute to overall contribute to the organization overall cybersecurity posture? Okay, first thing is it's helpful in the threat detection. Okay, so basically, if you don't have the SOC, you don't have SIEM, you won't be able to detect the threats. Okay, and you start with monitoring the network devices, server systems, desktop, everything, and you then try to find out sign of any security incidents, or what we call as the indicator of compromise or indicator of attack. Okay, both are important. Indicator of attack is also important for threat hunting as well. Okay. Next is the early warning. So because you have a SOC, you look at everything. You look at the threats, you look at the vulnerabilities, and you know the overall risk of your network. So SOC provides the early warning sign, and then you can take the preventive action for this as well. Before the incident escalate further, you can take the any kind of preventive action. Maybe you can create a firewall rules accordingly, or maybe you can maybe you can inform the security engineer to add a new kind of a solutions or new security programs, let's say red teaming exercises, or maybe because we have a SOC, we look at all the alerts, but we have observed that we are not able to collect more logs related to the Linux machine or Mac OS related machine, or email security email header or email information. So we might have to use some additional tools like spam filters or advanced email security detection tools as well, or we might have to enable some aggressive logs. We might have to generate logs, so we might have to enable sysmon onto the system. So this is all possible by SOC. Okay, incident response, because we have a SOC and SOC has incident response, or the DFIR team, we are able to perform the incident response. So we bring down the overall damage into the network. Okay, then threat intelligence, as we have discussed earlier as well. SOC gathers and analyze the threat intelligence on different level, from strategic to operational to tactical level as well. Where in strategic level, you CISO basically, or higher management body, talk to the industries and try to gather information related to security or threat. Okay, whereas tactical intelligence is all about the domain threat intelligence feeds that have the DNS information, blacklisted IP address, hash value, and if you remember, I talked about virus total. So this all happen here. Finally, vulnerability management. Now you can't control threats, right? Because you can't really control you can't control your threats, right? So let's say your threats are Chinese, so you can't really control Chinese, right? Although you know that you are building something that Chinese businesses are trying to copy, or trying to steal some business trying to steal some intellectual properties from you, or maybe it could be any other organization. Maybe in your country itself, somebody is trying to steal some information, right? So you can't control the threat, but you can only focus on vulnerabilities. You can only make sure that you don't have any security weaknesses. So if you know that there could be some robbers outside of your apartment, you can't really control them from not coming to your house or apartment. You can only focus on security of your apartment. You can have a security guard or any security personnel to avoid any kind of weaknesses, right? So that's where you focus on vulnerability management. You identify vulnerabilities, you patch those vulnerabilities. But again, you can't really work on all the vulnerabilities, right? Because there are endless vulnerabilities. If you want to fix the vulnerabilities of your network, you probably have every day 100 of vulnerability. You can't really do that. You have to prioritize vulnerability and then you work on it. So you do that by using their CVSS score, and then you start working on it. So this is how SOC contributes to your organization's security posture.